Have you seen Bigfoot? Bigfoot, otherwise, they're known as commonly referred to as Sasquatch, and is a purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. Many dubious articles have been offered in attempts, hello Applebrooks, to prove the existence of Bigfoot, including anecdotal claims of visual observations, as well as alleged video and audio recordings, photographs, and casts of large footprints. And I think I probably got this spelled wrong. I think the Bigfoot's probably one word. Let me see. Yeah, it's one word, you all. We can fix it. Bigfoot with one word. So, is Bigfoot real, or is Bigfoot a mythical creature? I don't think Bigfoot is a mythical creature. I really don't. And for those who want to say that Bigfoot is a mythical creature, that Bigfoot doesn't exist, then why is there rumors of Bigfoots? Why are there sightings of Bigfoot? See, that's the question right there. Why? Why would Bigfoot's name even come up if Bigfoot did not exist? Why wouldn't it? If Bigfoot never existed, Bigfoot's name should have never came up. But Bigfoot does exist. We're going to look at a map that has all the sightings, well, a lot of sightings of Bigfoot on it. I'm trying to redo this thumbnail, you all. I'm going to let you see me do this. I got to redo my thumbnail because I misspelled Bigfoot. And I don't want to misspell Bigfoot. Bigfoot sightings or Sasquatch sightings. Sightings. Let's get that going right there. I want to fix this before we go any further. Gina, honey, you should have done it ahead of time. Can't help it. I'll fix it now. There we go. We got it. And I just got to screenshot it. Let me just fix it, you all. I want to fix it first because I don't want to have Bigfoot sightings misspelled on here at all. I don't. So we're going to look into it because if you look at the map, this map right here, there's sightings all over the United States, like this whole entire half, and then sporadically over here, and then all along the coast over here on the west coast, and then up there in Canada. And really, who is Bigfoot, and how did Bigfoot come about? Really, how did Bigfoot come about? I'm going to take my picture off of there, and I'm going to spell it right, you all. That's what I'm going to do, and spell it right and stick Bigfoot on there. Bigfoot sightings right there. Oh, it's bigger than that, you all. Now I got to redo it. That's okay, you all. Let me put this back to me. I got to redo it, so I'm going to get rid of this one right here and just erase it. You just wait with me because we're going to look at the sightings. We're going to go to the actual map of Bigfoot and where he's been sighted. And is it just a male species of a Bigfoot, or is there like a female species also? And do they have families? That's a question. Does Bigfoot have families? They could. The Sasquatch. I think I remember hearing. Pause you. I gotta do my thumbnail. Okay, I've done my thumbnail. I think I remember hearing that they were created. They were once above ground, and then they were driven underground by the, what kind of beings that drove them underground? I can't remember. Some type of alien entities drove them underground and used them as slaves, and or perhaps maybe they were the missing link, something like that. You all, I'll get to you in a second. You all just hold on. I'm trying to do this thumbnail is what I'm trying to do. I got to refix this thumbnail. Hopefully I can fix it because I had to come back and I got to change all of this. You all just keep those comments coming till I fix it. Okay, I got it. Okay, we got it. Bigfoot asked you to leave the woods when hunting ginseng. in the western Kentucky. Chewbacca. That's right, Natalie. Chewbacca. Why did they have a Chewbacca? So let's look up Chewbacca. We can look up Chewbacca. Chewbaka, maybe. Let's look at Chewbacca and see what Chewbacca looked like. Okay, well, we just come right over here and see it. So Star Trek felt that it was necessary to put that character in there. That's very good. See, that adds, see, you're contributing to this live stream, to this this informative video on Bigfoot. That's right. We got Chewbacca in here from Star Wars. That's right. A kookaburra. Kookaburra. C-U... P-R-A-C-A-B-A, kookaburra. That's a big one, Al, honey. That's a big one. So let's look at that. Well, that doesn't look too much like a Bigfoot, but it looks like some kind of a being. They remind me of the hyenas with big old spikes on them is what they do. So we've got Chewbacca right there. We do. You have in Texarkana, Texas, one sighting where you're from. All animals live like us humans. Well, there's a Proverbs or an Ecclesiastes that says, man's fate is like that of the animals. And I thought, wow, that's Blurry Creatures podcast. And yeah, he got stuck in there. You're on high ground. The Abominable Snowman. Christine Mott, you know, I was thinking about the Abominable Snowman today. When I was thinking about Bigfoot. Abominable Snowman. Boom. Yes, and look at his teeth. But you know, he had white hair. Why did he have white hair? And he looked kind of friendly, but his teeth don't look friendly. And his fingers don't. But this one looks kind of sad. And then you had the land of the lost. Oh my gosh. The Yeti, you all. What if the Yeti was also a form of Sasquatch and or Bigfoot? What if it was? Because you know they did not make this up. There's no way they could have made up the Yeti. Because the Yeti was probably the Abominable Snowman. And wasn't there... Oh, that movie, Monsters. Remember that movie, Monsters? The movie Monsters cartoon. We're talking about Bigfoot, you all. Well, they just look like aliens, these monster cartoons. So they don't look like Bigfoot, but they look like aliens. And indeed, there probably are aliens that look like this, but we're talking about this Bigfoot. Let me come over here. So let's come to this right here. All of these images of Bigfoot. And I remember seeing this one right here. Something similar to that. This is a what's it? Is it? I can't see. I can't read what it is. A taxonomy. You know what? Look at this. 1 year ago, they updated it. When I was young, my sister's car broke down on the side of the road in Charlestown when we were really young. No. And it was dark on Highway 403. And we had to get out of the car and go to this old house. And as we walked up to this old house, we asked if we could use their telephone. And when we went in, he had all these animals that he did, like taxidermy or whatever. All these stuffed looking animals. And it was really a creepy feeling. It was, you all. I won't forget that. I won't. I don't even know how we got home. I don't, but we got this Bigfoot right here. This is a wiki thing right here. Let me put this. So you got this taxigami. Let me just stick this in here since I used it. I had to click into it, you all, so I had to do it. But I won't be putting all of them in there, but we can do this right here, Bigfoot. So we're going to look at the map of Bigfoot. Let's come over here. I don't want to look at this anymore, wherever that's at. We got these Bing searches of Bigfoot. We can put these in here because I searched all the Bigfoots, you all. If y'all just hold on there, because I like to do it right. We like to do it right with Bigfoot and Sasquatch, because some people just so happen to seen these beings that we're looking at. They've actually encountered them. So let's get out of here. Let's go back to the Sasquatch map. Where did I find this at? Sasquatch. Let me see what I did. Maps. Look at this. The Bigfoot Mapping Project. That's where we want to go. And I am going to put this on here because I have not been here before, and I'd like to see what they have to say about the sightings of Bigfoot. Oh, they're dropping our live chat feed for some strange reason. Don't do that to us. That's not very nice. We don't do it to you. We really don't. You can see it dropped from 128, dropped down to 100 or 74 and stuff like that. Don't be dropping our map. I mean our thing. Look at this. So here's the sighting. Let's make it. Can we make it big? Well, I guess I can't. Unless we can. Let's see all these sightings of Bigfoot. So if we can scroll in here, look at this. So say, where's Indiana? Okay, Indianapolis, Indiana. Oh, these red ones, you all. This looks, this is Hoosier National Forest. That's kind of near me. Hoosier National Forest. They saw Bigfoot. But it's not really close to me. That's in 1995. Y'all, this is really interesting. I have never told this outside a few close friends. I'm originally from southern Indiana, and this took place at Patoka Lake, south of Indianapolis. This happened in the spring of 1995, and I believe it was early May. My best friend AJ, my brother Scott, and I went fishing in AJ's bass boat. We fished all over the lake, and about 2 a.m. we began to make our way back to the boat ramp because it was becoming increasingly foggy. And as we got near the boat ramp area, the fog became so dense that you couldn't see beyond about 2 feet in front of you. It was like an impenetrable wall. We had to cut the main engine and switch to the trolling motor. For those who don't know what that is, it is a small electric motor on the bow of the boat that allows you to silently move the boat with great precision, but it isn't very powerful at all. It was very slow going. You all. Okay. Can I get up and go turn on that air? I'm just going to turn it on low, and because I'm having a hot flash. I just want to turn the air on. I don't turn it on because I think maybe it might interrupt you might hear it, and some people may not like it. Thank you, Al, honey. I want to cool off because I'm starting to sweat. I'm sweating. That feels a lot better. I can already feel it now. All right. Yeah, so around 3:30 a.m., you all, 3:30 a.m., they decided to stop for a while because we knew we were in the proximity of the cove where the boat ramp was, but we were a bit disoriented. We hoped for the fog to clear a little, and we dropped the anchor and began to fish and talk quietly amongst ourselves. Now the boat ramp is in a heavily forested area, and you have to take a country back road to even find it. It is quite isolated, and the whole area is bordered by the Hoosier National Forest, and that forest is really thick, you all. We believed we were about in the middle of the cove, so that we would have put the shoreline around 100 feet or so away from us. There is no bank to speak of, as the opposite side of the cove from the boat ramp is a finger of land that juts out into the lake. It is approximately 30 feet higher than lake level and has a steep shells cliff that drop nearly straight down to the water. As we sat quietly fishing, there was suddenly a sound unlike anything I have heard anywhere on this earth. Now, we had grown up hearing stories about Bigfoot type creatures that occurred in our area as far back as 1958. I was not prepared for what I had heard that morning. The only way I can describe it was an extremely fierce, primitive, guttural roar that absolutely tore through the fog. I have a lump in my throat typing this out and remembering. If you have ever been to the zoo and heard a lion truly roar, this was near the equivalent of this. I grew up in the hills, the caves, and woods of southern Indiana, day and night, all seasons. I have never heard anything like it. I actually felt it deep in my body. It was primal. It was visceral. And it was very close to us. It sounded like it came from on top of the finger of land opposite the boat ramp. I can say that this was the first time in my life I felt absolute terror. I mean, like you would imagine a mouse feels as it tries to escape a cat. A primal reptilian brain, flight or flight terror. I was frozen in my seat, as were AJ and Scott. If you're just tuning in, this is an account from Bigfoot sighting, Sasquatch in the Hoosier National Forest at Patoka Lake while the people were in the water back in 1995. And they're describing how the fog became so thick they couldn't see. They had to turn on their trolley motor. It was like 2 a.m. and then around 3 a.m. and they heard this roar. So we're going to read the rest of it. We sat stock still as the roar echoed off the hills around us. We had no idea if this creature, which I know in my heart was a Sasquatch, was capable of reaching us in the cove. We were only in about 7 feet of water, according to the fish finder. With this roar just dying away, and I whispered, "What was that?" AJ didn't answer. He sat immobile at the front of the boat on his pedestal seat. Jack was in the seat behind the steering wheel, up on his knees, straining to look into the fog. "I don't know," he said. "I have never heard anything like it in all my life." I agreed with that sentiment. That actually caused me more concern, though, because my brother was an experienced hunter who had hunted about every wild animal around at one time or another. And I was sitting, you all were reading this, I was actually, I was sitting behind him on the rear pedestal seat. I was actually shaking with fear. AJ whispered, "What do we do?" I said, "Let's get out of here." We hauled in the anchors as fast as we could. AJ turned on the trolling motor and started going just as fast as we could to the boat ramp. We could finally see the lights at the boat ramp and parking lot. We realized that one of us was going to have to get out of the boat and run up the ramp to the parking lot, which was about 200 yards away. We saw the dock coming into view, and as the fog was beginning to lift slightly, we stopped about 30 feet in front from the dock and sat for about 10 minutes listening and watching. AJ then pulled over the dock. We tied up the dock, and AJ hopped out and ran up to the hill to the truck and pulled it in and the trailer down, loaded it while we stood guard. As we jumped in and took off out of there, I have never been back, as I left for the Army shortly thereafter, but if I were to go looking, I would start there. This link is the closest I have ever found to what we heard that night, and it is nearly identical, in fact. So I'm not going to go to that YouTube video right there, you all. This is a description of what they heard at Hoosier National Forest, and you can see where they It's like 1,014.41 square miles. And these sightings that people are seeing, they're real. And for them to make believe, say that Sasquatch or Bigfoot doesn't exist, I think that's wrong. That's wrong. It really is wrong. Tina Baldwin, honey, we on a field trip to see the Bigfoot. Me and my friend growing up when we were teenagers in the projects, right behind our house or in front of our house was a great big field. And it's where cows, it was their pasture. And we remember sitting on the the cow panel gates or whatever you want to call them, the gates where they let the cows in and out. And we looked over the field, and there was nothing but woods, and there was caves too. There was woods. And all of a sudden, she was looking into the woods, and then she started crying because she said she saw a Bigfoot. But that area has since, the whole entire cow pasture has been turned into government housing. But yeah, this stuff is real. If you're just tuning in, let's look at this map again, you all. So they got them in Kentucky. They got them in Dayton, Ohio. Have you all seen them? The white ones, they are in, let's see, these North Bank Park right here. The red ones are the actual, I cannot get out of this, these actual sightings. Charleston Falls Preserve. They are all over the earth. Who are they? Who looks like Lake Superior? They saw a male with no vocalization. Did you see any young Bigfoot? Why are they asking about did you see any young Bigfoot? Is there because there's also families of Bigfoot? There's young Bigfoot and older Bigfoots. If so, who created them? Who created the Bigfoot? And were they the missing link? And they stopped right there. Animal kingdoms, terrestrial species. That's right, nature spirit. Just because you don't believe that something doesn't exist doesn't mean that it don't exist, because there's plenty of other people who may very well look. It looked human, and except for the width at the heel. Oh, this is part 3. This is part 1 of 7. I don't want to know if we want to have to read part 1 of 7. Is what it was. A human. It looked human, except for the width of the heel. They went to the other side of the highway where it entered the woods. We noticed the structure bent over the trees, forming a dome shape. It seemed like it was old, and I would not have given it another thought, except that in the context it may have been made by a Sasquatch. They got home, they looked for the Bigfoot, whatever site, and they found there were several sightings in their areas right there, you all. Let's see what else they had. This is in Lake Superior. Another acquaintance says his uncle met a very large Sasquatch while hunting in Chapleau. So why all of these sightings? Let's look over here in Colorado. This is where Denver, Colorado. So is there sightings here? Let's see, there's one right here. Did you see any young Bigfoot? And look, yes, with its parent. Oh my gosh, you all, this is a recent sighting right here. This is from May the 26th of 2022. Over here in Colorado, they saw this Bigfoot. Yeah, this is not a place to just crack jokes, because this is serious, People felt it was serious enough to document it, and they think it's really serious enough. The existence of it is serious enough to do maps of where the sightings were all located right there. So let's look at this. 2 young adults passing between these 2 trees as I place my pen between them in the satellite. I see them every once in a while, and they seem much more intelligent and curious than troubled or animalistic. The theory is they are swinging through the portals to visit our world like a vacation or possible research. Have you heard that? Sasquatches swinging through portals to visit our world? Could that be? Could they be from another realm and then they're interdimensional? Have you all heard that the Sasquatch are interdimensional? Yeah, have you all? So my property is on Earth, is on an Earth meridian line, so we get unusual happenings here through the portals. I'm working on techniques to see if in my next encounter can potentially be some sort of communication, but that would be easier with a few more. Inner Earth, yeah. So I haven't checked out Confunden map. I've never heard of that before. I've also met a 10-foot female adult from far away. She was watching us start a fire to warm up our fence. My fiance saw her, and I felt she was gone when I looked up. They are very good at placing themselves so that they can vanish through portals. It's always been between two pinyon trees or old growth trees. I think they use the trees' auras to either visit or present themselves through light or portals, so visits have always been daytime and fast. This is not paranormal. It seems more of a misunderstanding, but it's really hard to grasp why they have not made contact. After skimming through words again, I do wonder what these creatures are. They look like gigantic furry creatures, but they don't emulate the traditional Bigfoot encounters. Have you all ever had encounters like mine? You also ask about vocalization. I didn't hear anything, but I felt them essentially say, "Oh, shoot." When they left, they didn't say anything. It was more like we were startled, and I think they were more telepathic, you all. Bigfoots that are telepathic. Skinwalker Ranch. Well, you know what? I'm not drawn to the Skinwalker Ranch because of some of the things I've heard that my spirit's not drawn to that. It isn't. I know a lot of people go there just to see the paranormal and stuff like that, but my nose is itching. Somebody's talking about me. But yeah, I'm not really one to do that. I'm focusing on Bigfoot, and I don't know if Bigfoot is in the Skinwalker. I don't even like that term, Skinwalker Ranch. I really don't. Look up here in Washington State how we've got these sightings up here. Look at this Cincinnati. There's one over here in Dover, Delaware. This park right here. Yeah, that's right, you all. So September of 2005, a 7-foot dark brown or black crossed the road in Wilton. It was a male, 7 foot tall. This one sighting, no, they lost the connection. It's lost, you all. So we've got this map, and you can see all these sightings. Why is it like this location? You know what? Someone referred to Indiana as the belly of the beast. I'm wondering, why did they make that statement? I really do. Is there something underneath the ground? Is there really for them to make such a statement about it? They got a 7-foot Bigfoot over here too. For months, something would visit my house. My daughters would talk about the big monkey in the tree. Once recorded something crawl down out of a tree like a spider, down on all fours, and would always have the feeling of being watched. Would have the foul scent skunk like here and there. The daughter was playing outside and said it stood next to the house, and it would look down on her and pointed its height to be anywhere near 7.5 to 8 feet. At 1:30 a.m., went in to see what was only a tall, dark figure that growled at me and went back inside as fast as I could. It would constantly throw pebbles at the house and acorns all times of the day and night. Once seen lights coming from my driveway one night seemed to be just float there, not making a sound. Many people reported strange feelings of dread and feeling something seems to overcome them. Many other strange things happen. Still own the place. They have since moved away. Yeah, so why don't they talk about it on the news? These things right here, all of these beings about the Bigfoot and the Sasquatch, because we've got this map. We've got all these other maps right here of these sightings. Do you think the government is investigating all of these? Oh wow, I feel like I gotta sneeze, you all these Bigfoot sightings. Are they being hush about it? Let's see. Who made the Bigfoot? My nose, you all, it just will not stop itching for the life of me. It won't. Bigfoot. Bigfoot. Alien species. We can do this. So you got this right here. Oh my gosh. So is this, you all, is this real? Fear lieth more, the tallest, with a reported sighting of one that's 20 feet tall. You all, is this real right here? Oh, is this real right here? These beings right here, some that are like 20 feet tall. No, I don't need a Kleenex because I can stop my sneezes right in their tracks. If I want to focus on it, I can stop them. I just want to look at that, you all, because this is, we won't stay on here too long. Some people don't like long videos at all. Some people like a longer chat, but then that's okay. We've heard of the Yeti. I've never heard of the urine. And Mapinguari, mink, Sasquatch, the Yowie, the orange pendek, the agagwi, and the skunk ape. Look at the all species. Let's go to the wiki. I can't get it out, you all. I cannot get it out. Quit sticking your tongue out. I think that's so rude when people stick their tongue out. I really do. I don't like it. Never did like that. I thought it was like gross, sticking out your tongue at people. Yeah. I don't want to go here because of what you see on it, you all. We're not going to do it. Is Bigfoot possibly an alien entity? So, let me do this. Rather than being a missing link between the man and the apes, Bigfoot may possibly be an alien entity. This intriguing possibility is derived from evidence in several solid UFO cases. Is Bigfoot possibly an alien entity? Let's see what that Huffington Post has written about, you all. We're probably just gonna leave it at that after I put this link here. What are they talking about? Is it an alien species? What if they are like an alien species, and then one day they come out of hiding and they don't have a need to hide anymore? That would be kind of wild. It would. Is Bigfoot possibly an alien entity? Perhaps the Bigfoot creatures are UFO pilots landing on Earth for exploratory purposes, or conceivably higher level ETs are leaving behind some specimens as guinea pigs to test our environment for long-term survival. Why would they write something like that? Leaving behind some specimens as guinea pigs to test our environment for long-term survival. So this is 2012. That's an interesting date. Ooh, so this is the real common Bigfoot. And you know, Somebody could have been dressed up in a costume. I remember seeing that, but that's all the image you got right here. So rather than a missing link between man and ape, Bigfoot may possibly be an alien entity, and this intriguing possibility is derived from the evidence in several solid UFO cases. The earliest clues date back to 1888, when a cattleman described an encounter with friendly Indians in Humboldt County, California. They led him to a cave where he saw a hefty humanoid creature covered in long, shiny black hair with no neck, sitting cross-legged. Sitting cross-legged. Oh, I hope you had fun, Prism, kayaking. I really do. So, this Indian told him 3 of these crazy bears had been cast out of a small moon that dropped from the sky. That sounds really strange. These beings were dropped out of a small moon. They were cast out of a small moon that dropped from the sky and landed, and then the moon ascended back into the air. So it's highly like the crazy bears were really Bigfoots and the moon was a spacecraft. So I wonder if it had like a round, if it was completely round and glowing for them to call it a moon. If that's what the legend is. It's really interesting. Fast forward almost 100 years to 1973. And Miss Rifa Heitfeld, she and her 13-year-old son were sleeping in a trailer in Cincinnati, Ohio, on the morning of October the 21st. Rifa arose at 2:30 a.m. to quench her thirst, and she noticed strange lights in the adjoining parking lot. Looking down out the window, her attention was drawn, in particular, to an inexplicable cone of light, shaped like a huge bubble umbrella, about 7 feet in diameter. They are giants. Nearby, she spotted a grayish, ape-like creature with a large, downward angled snout, no neck, and a sizable waist. Moving slowly, it then entered into the light. About 5 minutes later, both Ape Man and UFO disappeared. Another dramatic incident occurred a few days later on October the 25th of 1973, when a group of farmers in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, caught sight of a dome-shaped UFO that was brightly lit, about 100 feet in diameter. As the locals drove toward it, they saw a pair of gargantuan creatures covered with thick, matted hair, luminescent green eyes, and long arms that dangled below their knees. A farmer's son fired a gunshot at the creatures, one of which raised its right hand in the air. At that very moment, the UFO disappeared. Then the 2 Bigfoots escaped into the woods and were never seen again. Dairy farmer William Bosick of Frederick, Wisconsin, was returning from a co-op meeting about 10:30 p.m. on December the 9th of 1974 when he nearly slammed into a globular UFO on the road in front of him. Its bottom half was enshrouded in fog. That's really interesting. Inside the visible transparent dome was a 6-foot-tall ape-like creature with reddish-brown fur covering its body except for the face and distinctive pointed ears. It appeared to be operating a control panel. As Bossack passed by, the object suddenly arose and disappeared. We're reading about these sightings from the Huffington Post. Some people may not like it, but I'm just reading it for the information. In August of 76, a series of UFO sightings around Rutland, British Columbia, Canada. Several men and their children saw a hairy ape-like entity, 6 to 7 feet tall, roaming about a mountainside. They also found a clump of hair that was sent to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for identification. Laboratory analysis confirmed it was primate hair, but significantly, it could not be matched to any known species on Earth. They couldn't match it to any known species on Earth. Perhaps the Bigfoot creatures are UFO pilots landing on Earth for exploratory purposes, or conceivably, higher level ETs are leaving behind specimens as guinea pigs to test our environment for long-term survival. Or possibly these Bigfoots are criminal entities being deposited on Earth as a form of cosmic deportation. I'm not going to look at that video, you all. So Bigfoot. And you know, there's people who have entire websites and social media platforms dedicated to Sasquatch. Just like that map, it's dedicated to Sasquatch. And then look right here, they got this painted rock. Where's this at? They got some pictures of a Sasquatch right here. Let me see this. Let me put this here. I tapped into it. I got to paste it in here, you all. You got to cover your tracks in here. We got to cover our Bigfoot tracks so other people can trace the tracks of the Bigfoot that we talked about. Is what we've got to do. So that's fine. That is fine. Tool River Indian Reservation in California, petroglyphs created by a group of Yakuts at a site called Painted Rock are alleged by some to depict a group of Bigfoots, the family. The local tribes people called the largest of the glyphs is the hairy man, and they are estimated to be between 500 and 1,000 years old. They are estimated to be 500 and 1,000 years old in California. The British explorer is sometimes credited with the first discovery of the Sasquatch prints. As early as 1884, they published an account of a gorilla-type creature captured in the area. Roosevelt, in his book, wrote The Wilderness Hunter. He writes of a story he was told by an elderly mountain man named Bauman, in which a foul-smelling, bipedal creature ransacked his beaver-trapping camp, stalked him, and later became hostile when it fatally broke his companion's neck in the wilderness near the Idaho-Montana border. In the Indian Affairs agent J.W. Burns compiled local stories and published them in a series of Canadian newspaper articles. There were accounts to him that were told by the Stis Ales people of the Chehalis and others, and the other regional tribes maintained the creatures were real, and they were offended by people telling them that the figures were legendary. In 1958, the Humboldt Times, a local newspaper in California, published a story about the discovery of a giant, mysterious footprints near Bluff Creek, California, and referred to the creature that made them as a Bigfoot, according to the Smithsonian, you all. So we can see some of these. I don't like that ad down there, you all, but I don't have an ad blocker at all. So it's kind of like, who wants to show things with that? So, and I don't think that they're black bears. I really don't, you all. If you're just tuning in, this is like a Bigfoot sightings. And in the description of this video, there is a map that has these like, you can see them yellow and then red. You can click on the reds and it will tell you actual sighting accounts where people are documented that they've seen them. And we read one from the 26th of May, I think it was, or the 22nd of 2022. It was around Colorado where they documented seeing a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. And really, are they coming up to the surface? Are they being sighted more and more? Because if they're being sighted more and more and people are talking about them more and more, they're coming out of wherever they're at. And are they doing it willingly? Are they being driven out? Or maybe it's time for them to come out. And what about the UFOs? The descriptions of dome-shaped UFOs, and they're like globe and with like fog. What about the fog? You know, I don't like to see really, really, really thick fog. I do not. And I don't know if any of you like to see the really, I'm not going to say that word, really, really thick fog. As we come up through the forestry, in the woods, in the mountains where I'm at, where you can see patches of real thick fog, like down in the little canyons areas of the trees and stuff. And I sit and look at it and I think, I wonder if there's anything in those areas, even though, I know it's probably a low-lying area, but there's like the fog it like protrudes upward really far. And how about when the fog lays really low outside? It's just so ground level low. It's just laying there and it's really thick. What if during that time there's like portals, or like where you can't even see in front of you when you're down the road? The visibility is not even 30 feet in front of you. What if something's going on during those times and we don't know about it? What if some type of portals are being opened? What if there's interdimensional creatures, beings coming out and then walking around and doing whatever they do, and then they going back in? I'm being serious, I really am, because there are interdimensional beings. There's another realm beyond this realm. A wolfman, a black-haired Bigfoot, is like a European wolfman species, mythological hybrid. Yes, Deb, through the portals. May, every creature movie, monsters came out of the fogs. Wonder, well, why do they come out of the fogs? I've not watched them before. I think there was a movie called The Fog, and it was supposed to be scary, but I didn't want to watch it at all because I don't want that in my mind. I don't even want to remember something like that. What are your thoughts on vampires? We did a movie about vampires. Actually, it was about Elon Musk. He said he's actually a 3,000-year-old. Did he say a vampire? I said yeah, I did a video last week. Elon Musk, a 3,000. Is he confessing to be a 3,000-year-old vampire reptilian? And it's hard for him to keep up the charade. I'm sure they existed, or there wouldn't even be any like history on them, or whatever they want to call it. All these beings out there. He's a lizard? Yeah. So if you're just tuning in, have you seen Bigfoot? And there are people in this chat who have seen Bigfoot. And we've shared a map of the sightings of Bigfoot. There's whole groups of people who that's all they do is search Bigfoot and Sasquatch. Why? Because they believe and that they exist, and there's too much evidence to support that they, that they're here. There's too much evidence out there that's been documented to think otherwise. Werewolves, vampires too. Yeah. So I am going to go. I am. And with that being said, hello, wherever you are, in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, you all. And I don't think I'd be walking out in the forest at night if it's pitch black. And if you're hearing really weird noises and you got a creepy feeling inside of you, something telling you do not walk into that forest, not even with a group of friends, don't do it. Because you don't know what's lurking out there. You really don't. And if it is like a being, they may not know what your intentions are. So something could happen. It could. Just be careful, you all. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.